ministry responsible for planning, monitoring, and evaluation. Be that as it may, now the ANC. So it is against that background that we're coming here today to present the work that has been done by this subcommittee in regard to evaluating the work done by governance or the cadres who are deployed in government. So I'll hand over to Comrade Phoebe to go through what we have prepared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Joe. Comrade Phoebe will then speak to yourselves, colleagues, on the specifics of what we're presenting this morning.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues from the media and listeners. As you are aware, the January 8 events of the ANC historically provides an opportunity to look back at where we are as a nation, and secondly, to then look at the task for the year ahead. When we met in Mangaung last year, the ANC set 6 tasks which were contained in our January statement on the occasion when we turned 111 years. And those 6 tasks were that we need to take decisive action to tackle service delivery problems, as well as maintenance together with communities, that we need to tackle the energy security issues as well as load shedding, that we must mobilize social partners on economic recovery and job creation as well as investment, that we need to take forward the fight against crime, corruption, and gender-based violence and femicide. And then the 6th action was continual action to build a better Africa and world. Now, what happened at this NEC is that the Secretary General presented the annual report of the ANC during 2023. And a major part of that annual report focused on the extent to which the ANC has managed to implement these 6 tasks and its specific initiatives, which are critical not just for the ANC, but also for the South African population. The questions of load shedding, the questions of service delivery, the issues about economic recovery and job creation, as well as the question of and GBV, as well as corruption. Now, and Comrade Mahlengi said, the National Executive Committee took office after the 55th National Congress. And amongst the things that it immediately did was to establish the monitoring, planning, and evaluation so that we're able to monitor progress with our project of social transformation. Now, in general, I think that the NEC agree that 2023 has been a very difficult year, both in terms of geopolitics as well as for South Africans, as a result of the continued Ukraine war, later in the year, the war in Palestine, which had a significant impact on the ability of the world, and it was also recently referred to that by the UN Secretary General, the capacity of the world to recover after COVID. So it impacted on global supply chains, it impacted on food security, on energy security, as well as the cost of living of peoples across the world, as well as particularly in South Africa and the rest of the continent. And then, of course, a geopolitical issue, but climate change. Last year was the hottest year in the history of humanity. We've seen, a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks of the hottest temperatures in South Africa. So all of those made things very difficult for South Africans, and they implemented these 6 tasks. Let me start with the service delivery and maintenance issues. As we last year met at Mangaung in January 8, we were painfully aware that many communities suffered the indignities of sewerage spillage, of refuse not being collected, water being interrupted, as well as potholes. At the same time, unresponsive local government that didn't necessarily respond to communities. The ANC, therefore, at the beginning of the year, set up the local government intervention task teams in addition to the monitoring and evaluation team to be able to these indignities and then be able to make sure that our local governments, where the ANC are the majority, are able to respond to these issues. So amongst the things that we've done is to meet with all of our municipalities across the country on more than one occasion, and to then impress on them the importance of being responsive to communities, that if there's a problem, if it's a problem of sewerage, to fix the problem. If it's a problem that requires infrastructure, then to explain to the community that what are the plans to be able to address these issues of bulk infrastructure, so that communities don't just, sit with a problem without understanding what their government are doing about those issues. Some of the examples, for example, in Mfuleni, the Department of Water Affairs have been working with the local government around these issues, with the local communities. The president has gone there to be able to inspect the progress around these issues. Similarly, the Department of Water Affairs went to Maluti Upper Form, who also suffered certain of those issues. Together with traditional authorities, have been engaging with a range of communities at the beginning of the year, and then again at the end of the year, to say that what are the issues in terms of water in Limpopo, and then to come back and say that this is what we're doing about it, this is the progress, and this is how far we've come with these issues. As an NEC, we're quite happy with the progress on the issues of water. But of course, South Africa is a water scarce country. And therefore, the report that the ministry has commissioned and was released early towards the end of the last year on the Blue Drop and Green Drop report, which indicate the more long-term issues that we face, and provide us with a sense of not just addressing the immediate issues, but also more in the medium term, what needs to be done to be able to ensure that we don't suffer these problems of breakdown of bulk infrastructure, and so forth. On transport, for example, which is another critical area of service delivery, a number of ANC-led municipalities have started during the period of last year and continuing this year programs to look at how do we fix potholes after the rainy season, but making sure that there's regular fixing of that. A number of them have begun to acquire their own yellow fleets to then be able to respond to these issues of road maintenance, ongoing issue. In addition to that, the Department of Transport has also working with we also address the costs of transport on